Hi, good morning. Thank you very much, Ravid. And before I'll start, one thing about the Indian presentations that we just received. You mentioned that there are more cellulars than toilets in India. Well, approximately half a year ago, the internet traffic that goes through mobile phones are higher than the internet traffic that goes otherwise, which is tremendous trend of how to use internet. Well, globally, I'm talking about India. Globally, we are about, if I remember the figures, 10 to 15% of global internet traffic goes to mobiles, and the rest goes to the others. Well, I wanted to talk about the connections, relations between the academic world and the industry, or the high-tech, or the innovation, or the innovative society. And once I got to think about it, I realized that the universities or the academic world is the most innovative institutions that I know. I think that besides religious, the universities are still managing the same way for about 800 years or so, which with no differences at all, not in their organization, not in their teaching methods, or nearly no change at all. So I started with questions like, what are the relations between these conservative institutions and the industry? And I used to be employed in both. I'm still working in university. I was vice dean of the engineering school, which is the second engineering school in Israel. And I know something about how to run a faculty or how to produce engineers. This is on the other side, on the one side. Then the other side is that I also run companies. I started several. My exit was decades ago, and I'm still running some companies, sitting in boards, and I know how the industry works. And I find hardly a connection between universities and the industry. There are some cooperation, there are some ties, but I wondered what are they. So I looked at what happened to humanity out of universities, lots of stuff. But if you look at the recent innovations in the Western world, you find that universities took minor part in it. If you look at the major players in the IT, for example, Microsoft, Apple, Google is a different story. Facebook and Apple are also created by innovative guys that were out of the universities. They did not use university resources. They did not use university IP. Google is a different story. And again, I looked before that period to transistor made by AT&T, IBM Research. They've done lots of other innovations, not in the universities. Telephone, it's not out of a university. So most of our innovative, most impacting innovations that changed our life did not come from universities. Well, I don't want to exaggerate because, you know, there is basic research and medical stuff and aerospace and things like that that are coming from university. Military stuff, energy, nuclear energy, that comes from universities. But the most common things that influence, impact our life are not coming from universities. So I started to think how universities promote, initiate, assist in startups or cooperate in corporate R&D efforts, innovative societies and so forth, and where Israel fits in. I'm not going to talk much about that, the relations between all these factors to the industry, but There are lots of reasons why Israel high-tech is so successful, or Israel innovative society is so successful. I'll let you read all of that, but if I'm trying to find a common denominator to all these factors, I think that the hybrid of people, of multicultural, of doing things from different places in very condensed place, like Israel, helped a lot. I think that the diffusion of technologies out of military, of defense force, as well in the Silicon Valley, helped a lot. I think that the Russian immigration back in 1970 and then in 1980 or 1990 assisted a lot. I think that the structure of the VCs in Israel assists a lot. So what about the universities? Just before that, let me summarize that the result is that Israel is the second innovation hub worldwide, with approximately 5,000 startups. We have about 600 startups, new startups every year. We are the third largest presence in NASDAQ after China and, of course, the US. Just to give you an example of how much we are investing in innovation, I took all the money that was invested in the last 10 years in the main innovation hubs in the States, which is the Silicon Valley, New England, which is Connecticut, and Massachusetts, of course, New York Metro, and then Los Angeles, South California, and Texas. And we are the fourth player. I'm talking about absolute figures. I'm not talking about relevant or relative to a person or relative to GDP or whatever. I'm talking about on absolute terms, which is a huge phenomenon. The Economist make some calculations that in every Israel person there is about $170 invested, which is far above the average. In the US, it's just about $75. So there is a huge amount of money that runs the innovation industry in Israel. This innovation brings about several advantages. You all know about 10% of our workforce is involved somehow with this industry. Above 50% of the Israeli export comes from this industry. About 50% of the GDP comes from this industry, which is the highest contributor to the GDP. And we have about 250 global R&D centers from, you mentioned IBM, Microsoft, and several others, approximately the same picture here, but we start as of, I think IBM started at about before 1950.
Research started 40 years ago.
All right. So we have a very substantial presence of multinational organizations here. And the last thing is that obviously this high-tech and innovation society drives our economy. What about the academia? So let's go to some academian facts. Israel is ranked number 2 with 4 universities in the top 30 universities in the computer science area. It is actually with 5 universities in the top 100 universities in computer science. We have about 20% of the population have a university degree. I found other figures that, for instance, it depends how you calculate it. You know, you can lie with statistics as much as you want. But I found that out of the matured people, approximately 50% of about 30% of the Israelis hold an academic degree, and this is the second after I forgot whom. 20% has advanced degrees. I'm talking about MSc and above. We have the highest ratio of scientists and technologists per 100,000 employees, which is about here. After us, we have the US, Japan, Germany, and so forth. The last thing that ties between the academia and the industry is some sort of indexing of the ratio or the way that academia and industry works together. There are several criteria of how to index it, and there is one that I adopted that is ranking Israel as number 7 in cooperation. Just a few examples of it. The Weizmann Institute explored lots of the IP stuff to the farmers' companies in Israel. The Hebrew University exports, by Professor Shashua, most of the stuff in imaging. And of course, not just the universities are playing a role here, the development unit of the Ministry of Defense and the Army itself. Well, they are not giving IPs, but IP leaks out of them to the industry here in Israel, and I can give you lots of examples in various segments like imaging, security, space. Given imaging is an example. This is the most well-known security company, Checkpoint, is out of 8 of the Army, and so forth. So I asked the question again, what are the relations between the academia effects that I just proposed and the high-tech industry? So first of all, is VC investment necessarily indicate innovation? I think that it does, because no one spends lots of funds, huge amounts of funds, other than supporting innovation. That's obvious. But assuming that this is the case, then is there a connection between the university's excellence and VC investments worldwide, not just Israel? I tried to check it out, and I'll show you the results. And if so, is there a connection between the higher education and the innovative society? Well, the academic world is not just doing research, it's also educating engineers and researchers. So I took the major hubs of innovation, of VC capital in the world. Every place that is above $1 billion in 2011, I put it in the picture, and I broke up the states, which is approximately 50% of world's investments. So you see that California is leading with almost $15 billion investment, VC investments. It's not private equity, I'm talking about just VC funds in the States, which is about 50% of the funds that are invested in the US. And the rest goes to Texas, Massachusetts, New York area, and that's about that. These 4 areas. All in all, it's about almost $30 billion investments in last year. And Canada, again, with 2.2, China with 3 billion, Australia with 2 billion. Europe is a question because from the national VC associations, I'm talking about the American one, they are suggesting that approximately $4 or $5 billion are invested in Europe. The European National VC Association put some other figures, but let's assume that this is the right picture. Israel has about $2 billion, which is a tremendous amount of money compared to its size, population. And no other place in the world has more than $1 billion investments. The rest of the world is about $5 billion, and the rest of the States is about $7 other billion. So looking at this is a place where innovation happens. That's what I'm arguing, and I hope that you'll agree with me. If that is the case, now let's go to the academic world. So I listed all the countries, again, broke up the states, with countries that has more than 3 universities in the top 100 universities. I'm talking about a general ranking that was done by Shanghai University. It's a well-accepted criteria of excellence of universities or academic excellence. It takes lots of parameters like Nobel Prizes and publications and so forth. So you find that California, again, is leading with 10 institutions. You have Great Britain with 9, and then you have the rest of the world. Israel, again, with 3 universities. That's Weizmann, the Hebrew University, and the Technion, I guess. Those are the 3 universities that entered the top 100 list. One thing further is that if you look at countries that has excellence in several, let's say, regions, not geographical regions, but academic regions like science, engineering, life, medicine, and social sciences, you'll find out that out of this list, Israel is well situated with 4 universities in the top 100 in science and 2 universities with in the top 100 universities. So now let's compare this figure with the money figure, with innovation. And you see there's a good fit between where the excellence, academic excellence resides and where the money is going on. Of course, there are places like Japan, in Europe, several places like Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, which has no innovation money, let's put it this way. Illinois is another example. So I tried another model, and I look at 3 universities, on countries that has 3 universities, more than 3 universities in the top 100 computer science. It covers about 70% of all 100 top universities in computer science, because I assume that high tech and it is concerned with computer science. So you can see again that China is now a player in this computer science stuff. California, again, with its 10 universities. All of North America is, of course, a huge player. In Europe, we have just 2 countries with more than 3 universities in the top 100. And Israel, of course, with its, not of course, but gladly, it's with 5 universities, almost all universities in the top 100 list. Again, if we'll put the money, we'll see a better correlation between where the money goes and excellence in computer science. So, take one of the academia, there is a clear connection between the university's excellence and innovation. The question still remains whether it's a byproduct of the money or vice versa. Is it causal? And the second dimension of it is, what about the higher education? If you remember, we talked about high number of engineers and scientists in the population, among the workers. It's a different statistics than in the population because we have lots of people that are not working. From the OECD data, we can see that Israel has about 45% of academic degrees. That's it's not 30% that I quoted earlier. It's about 45%. Canada is before us with 50-something%, and the rest of the world goes. This is the most 10 countries, the most educated countries, if I may say. And Israel is well situated here. Again, you have to look at these figures carefully because countries that are has lots of young generation, the figures will drop down. So you can measure it in between 25 and 55 age, and you'll find out again similar numbers. So again, there is a relation between, if you look at these figures or here, you'll see that there is a relation between where the money goes and the education. But is it causal? So the academic, as I said, is a very conservative place. We have an innovative environment, but it is a factor in the innovation or the innovative society. What I think is that it supports and catalyzes innovative society. It's not initiates it. Where you have money or where you have an academic excellence, they are combined. I don't think that there is somebody or some factor initiates the other. But it assists, of course. It is hard to accommodate industry requirements in the university environment. This is a very long process in the university to educate, to change curriculums versus industry, which runs very fast. The most problematic issue in the university is the joint ventures, IP issues, and motivation. The universities are stuck to what they are doing. They don't let IP go, and that's difficult. I'm not going to enter this. I want to give you an example of a department that I was building in my university. Again, it's initiative inside the university, academic initiative. The reason is that if you look at the way Israel is differentiated from the states in investments or in innovation, you'll find out that, for example, in Israel, we have about 16% communication compared to 4% communication in the States. We have about double the number of semis in Israel compared to the US, which brings a different kind of knowledge, engineers, innovation, ingenuity that is required in Israel. Because of that, the comms and the internet, I proposed to my university to bring a new department, a new curriculum that is called Communication System Engineering. I have done it with the university, with the industry. We have up until now more than 600 engineers that are working in the industry, and they're very welcome. They're absorbed quickly. They are advanced quicker than their colleagues from, let's say, computer science, computer engineering, and so forth. The curriculum is interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary. I'm not going to explain that because I don't have much time left, but you can read it as it is. So what, to my opinion, drives the innovation as an innovative society? I think that basic research that is done by universities and government and R&D funds that are invested in the industry. Those are the main two factors that really drives innovation. And I just brought two examples from the OECD again. I took it last night. The basic research as of the GDP of the country, as you can see, Israel is just behind Switzerland in basic research. And you'll find, again, a correlation between the money and the innovative societies and this diagram. And if we will take the R&D, which is another thing. It's not the basic research that is mostly done in the universities and research institutes and the government. Again, Israel is about 4.5%. I think that Tzvi showed this diagram to you, so I'm not going to talk about it longer. Practical expectation, and that's where I'm finishing. There is a relation between academic world and the industry. I don't think it's causal. The role of the university is mainly in producing workforce to this industry. Some IP transfer. It should be easier if I would be in charge of the university, as I try to be. I'll let go all the IP to the to the industry. That's what the military and the Ministry of Defense have done, even in the States, and it worked very well. Basic research and R&D are main drivers, and again, FP7, which I participated, and the that I participated are not as much as drivers like the R&D that is given to entrepreneurs, to small companies that are driving this industry. If I would be, again, in charge of the government funds, at least, I would put as much as I can in this in the industry. I would give it money to entrepreneurs, to innovators. It's a good investment, by the way. And of course, there is a cooperation required and adaptation of the academic world. I think that I outlined everything that I wanted to show you in this talk. If there are questions, I will be glad to answer. Thank you.